Halacha Aleph. We're starting the next paragraph in Hilchos Melochim. The Rambam writes, "Shus yesh lamelech litei mas ha'am l'tzocher l'tzorech ha'milchomes." The king has a right to place a tax on the people for his own needs or for the needs of war. Now, a certain amount, v'koitziv, he sets a certain amount, l'meches, for this tax that he collects. It's forbidden to not to pay this tax. He has the ability to make an edict that anybody who doesn't pay the tax, all of his money will be taken, or she shall be killed. As it says, Shmuel said, when Klal Yisrael wanted to have a king, you will be to him like a slave. And he will be for you for taxes and to put you to servitude. Then, from the posuk we see that the king can place tax. Whatever he judges in regard to these things is the law. Whatever it says in Peirush HaMeir, the king has a right to it. Besides, the source of this is Sanhedrin 20b. Whoever says, all that it says in Peirush HaMeir by Shmuel, that's permitted to the king. That was a psak halacha of the Sanhedrin of Shmuel. Rambam says it wasn't said only to terrorize them that they shouldn't accept a king. That if you want a king, you should know that he will do this. But it doesn't mean that the king is permitted to do this. Gemara brings a machlokes. Rav Yossi says everything that's there is permitted to the king. Rav Yehuda says it was only done to make them fearful. Rashi explains that it was the opinion that Shmuel was only said that they should fear the king, but not to permit the king to do it. So there's a third Peirush in this. Fearing the king meaning not fearing having a king, but fearing the king. You should know what you're obligated to get about. Because the Mishnah adds that Rambam codifies the law, that everything that's in Peirush HaMeir, the king has a right to it, like Rabbi Yossi and Shmuel. Because in Machlokes of Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi, we go in Erevin, the Halacha is Rabbi Yossi. And furthermore, by Momenis, we always say the Halacha is like Shmuel. We find this in Peirush 49b. The Ravaz adds, the Chazal said, in many places, in Doron Gittin, the Kana Ravaz, or the Ravaz, that the law of the land is law that one must adhere to, and even by kings of non-Jewish nations, the same applies. However, the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei, which has to do with robbery and the items that are lost, he cites that the law of the kingdom is a kingdom, and a person cannot pay it, whatever the king decrees. Therefore, when the Melech says you should take a third or a fifth, quarter, or a certain amount, and he set up a Jewish agent to collect it, and he's a trustworthy person, he doesn't take anything beyond that what the king said, he is not considered a thief, because the law of the king is law. And not only that, if you don't pay the taxes, you're considered like a thief yourself, whether the king is a goy or the king is a Yisrael. The Kiryat Sefer is of the opinion that the parashas of the rights of the king is the source for Dina Machus Dina, even by a non-Jewish king. The Ran cites in the name of Tosfos that only a king who's a non-Jewish king, we say Dina Machus Dina, because the land belongs to him, and he could technically force all the Jews to leave. But by Jewish kings, you don't say Dina the Machus Dina, because all Yisrael are Shutzim Eretz Yisrael. The Maritz Chiyas cites that according to the Gemara in Sanhedrin 20b, Shmuel said Peirush HaMeir, the teacher, that king is permitted in these items, and he's of the opinion that's because of Din Malchusa. He brings so from Peirush HaMeir. There's no difference between Melech Yisrael to a Melech of other nations with regard to Din Malchusa Dina. Malchus says that the Ran and Tosis are of the opinion only what is specifically stated in the passages is permitted to the king, not other things. And Dina Malchusa Dina, as a set policy, is only mentioned by a non-Jewish king, not by a king of Israel. The Dvar Avram says, according to the Ran, it says that the king can take taxes is only a tenth. The Rambam writes he can take a third or a quarter, whatever he decides. And it would seem in the Peirush HaMeir, it says in the prophet, our Divrei Kabbalah is what the Shmuel Hanavi set up, and not the Eraisa. Now, Divrei Kabbalah means, Rambam sometimes uses that as not in the Chumash, as opposed to meaning the Rabbanon. The Torah's Nevi'im have the opinion that's a din d'oraisa, because only the specifics are learned from the Divrei Kabbalah. Therefore, it makes it a d'oraisa. And furthermore, he infers from the words of the Rambam the king has the right that he can take the taxes even for himself, not only to take people's property away from them and to make them public, meaning for the use of the public, like Rambam. The king can place taxes on the people for his needs or for the needs of the war, but not for but only for the needs of the king and the wars. The Beis Yosef, Choshen Mishpat, Simon 3:69 brings to the Mordechai. In the Rosh and Perek Abba and the Dor Moshe Rae brings it down. The Din Malchusa is only regarding land. Those say that it has jurisdiction in everything that's for the benefit of the king. The Magen Mishnah is Malva. He infers from the Rambam. The Malchusa is only something that's for the benefit of the king. The Beis Yosef writes that so it would seem from his words in Hilchos Melochim, there's permission to the king to place a tax on the people for his needs, only when it is for the benefit of the king.